There are two kinds of playboys in this world. Two kinds. Not all playboys are the same. You know, like all women are like that, or not all women are like that. Not all playboys are like that. Playboy number one, just a horny dude. High T level, horny, has to fulfill himself, takes pride in landing beautiful women with nice bodies, carnal in that sense. Could be a good guy. Many times men discover that they can, and they do. Christian or not, it's difficult. Churches never talk about this kind of stuff. They condemn it, but they don't help it. And men are usually the last ones to be addressed. In modern churches today, men are condemned, but women are understood. Fact. Playboy number two is a guy that can't hold down a relationship, but he knows he can get them, but he can't keep them. So his joy and pleasure and what he can do is get them. He knows he's not going to keep them very long, so that's why he racks up the numbers. So in between every 2, 3, 4 year relationship that he has that falls through, that breaks his heart, he has to go out and nail 20 women. Unemotionally. Keeps his heart out of it. Knows how to put on an act. Cleans himself, grooms himself, is social, has the look of having it together, has the look of being a fun guy, but inside he's in pain. I was a mixture of both of those things for a lot of my life. And you don't hear guys talking about this. You never hear guys talking about this, ever. There's a concept that I came up with when I was 32 years old. I was director of counseling and psychological services. And just when it was like 90% of my clientele were heartbroken clientele. People who just would go through breakup after breakup after breakup and be hurt. And then go through these stages. You know, I'm done with women, I'm done with men, I'm done with relationships and this kind of thing. 90% of my clientele came to me because of relationship issues. Well, duh. 3 things that people struggle with the most across the board, but I'm speaking to men. That is relationships, money, and health/fitness/weight loss. Those 3 things are men's biggest challenges. How we react to pain is interesting. Many people, many men, I'm not going to say people because this is for men, many men will anesthetize the hurt and confusion with sex in the same way the alcoholic and the guy who's like puffing on weed every day does their thing to kind of like change the channel mentally so they're not feeling anything. They kind of numb themselves. Sex is the same thing. Sex does the same thing. Would I call that person addicted to sex? No. I would call them addicted to maladaptive behavior. Sex happens to be one of those things. And if you follow that rabbit hole deep enough, you'll see other issues that that man uses to try to anesthetize the pain. How do I know this? 2 reasons. 90% of my male clientele come to me for relationship issues. 10% financial issues. And 0.01%, are mixed in there with some physical health, fitness, weight loss, that kind of thing. So this is all anecdotal. I've been doing this for 43 years. So there are some sweeping generalizations here. Men anesthetize themselves with sex because during that 40-minute session, you don't have to think about your heartbreak. It's another set of breasts to replace the breasts that you lost. It's another set of hips moving and grooving on you to make you not think of the hips that you once loved and that may have bore your children or that you wished and hoped had bore your children. So in the same way that crazy sex is desired from women, right? Crazy. What do they say? Crazy. How's that phrase go? Crazy in the head, crazy in the bed. The male equivalent of crazy in bed is angry in bed. The mad lover. That's not how he loves. That's not how he loves. That's not how he performs. I'm giving away a little secret here. Men give great sex when they're angry. They will flip-flop a woman, ragdoll her, flip her like a pancake, spin her around like a pizza. They will tie her up, hold her hands down, do stuff to her that she never had done before, and it's all done out of anger. And she thought he was just a good lover. This is why breakup sex is so good, right? When you break up and you come back together and the sex is just insane. TACB, they all come back. You know that. And it's always great. But why is it great? Anger. Anger and frustration can be the fuel for great sex. Also, the fuel for a deeper sinful life as well. Let's keep it real here. Two types of playboys. The horny, unrestrained guy with high T levels who just has to be satisfied, and the hurt playboy who's trying to even the score, can't love deeply, can get them, but can't keep them. Do you fit in one or both of those categories? I'm not one to put people into categories. Sometimes we just play those roles for a short period of time, and we say, yeah, those are my crazy days. Oh yeah, I remember those days, right? The concept of the heartbroken heartbreaker. The guy who just plows through women like that snow plow on the first snow. Plows through them all. Some fall in love. The perfect sex would be the crazy woman and the angry man. And I know there's going to be some Christians that come on here and sermonize me. Christian or not, everyone has experienced this. Sad to say. But I choose to see the world as it is, not how I want it to be. But let's talk about a couple things. Women lose their mind. They start losing their mind after the second dick that's been in them. Men start losing their minds after their second breakup. So I'm not letting men off the hook. Women get a little crazy, men get a little bit angry. And then that's the mode that we operate on. Crazy is the result. That kind of crazy comes as a result of sin and straying away from God's laws. That kind of anger that comes out of men is the result of straying away from God's laws. Be angry and sin not. Can you imagine that? There's a scripture that says, be angry and sin not. Look it up. Look it up. And this is what happens. This is where men, and I'm speaking to men because this is a men's channel. This is where men really mess up their lives. They get angry and sin. They don't do be angry and sin not. Anger isn't a sin if it's righteous anger. For instance, when I see injustice somewhere, I'm moved by anger. I'm moved. And sometimes good things happen as a result of that kind of anger. You know, you're tired of seeing homeless people in your town. You want to do something about it. I get that. I get that. It moves you. When we are angry, especially men, when we go through divorces and breakups, this is absolute key, and I've taught this now for 7 years on this channel and for 40 years in my career. First, do no harm. Secondly, do only good, which means no drugs, no alcohol, no sleeping around. Those three things will help you change the channel fast. Can you be angry? Yes. What does anger come from? Cynicism and hurt when it comes to relationships. I mean, you could be angry for eating 2 extra pieces of pizza and that bag of potato chips and the pint of ice cream. You're mad at yourself for that. That's not the kind of mad or angry I'm talking about. Usually, in men, anger comes from straying from God's laws. You can be angry, you can be hurt, you can be cynical, but how will you act on it? What is your response to what happened to you? And like I had talked about in one of my live streams, there is the cumulative effect of hurt. It's the straw that breaks the camel's back. It's the one extra bean on the scale that might cause a disproportionate response. So a man goes through a divorce. What does he do? He gets hurt. In order to not feel the hurt, he goes out and fucks 20 women. How do you respond to things that happen to you? Do you just absorb the grief? I'm a big fan of not denying your emotions, but delaying them. Because you can't just walk around sad and blubbery all the time. You can't do that. You can't function. You still have to make money. You still have to cut deals. When it comes to breakups and divorce, you may never find the real reason why. And when it comes to the perpetrator, the person who actually did the breaking up, 9 times out of 10, they will lie to you about why you're not together. You will hear everything but the right answer. You may have done all the right stuff, but you will never hear the real reason why. And that in itself can create anger. That in itself can create anger. So, anger and crazy. 2 things we need to avoid. Ladies, you may have blown it by having too much dick. Men, you may have blown it in life and steered your life in such a way with anger where you ended up paying dearly and deeply, and it cost you money. Your anger cost you money. And sleepless nights. How about this? I propose this. How about we all just get our shit together? How's that sound? How about we reduce those fucking numbers of 90% of all therapy appointments have to do with relationships? How about we just bring that down to like maybe 80, 70? How about just half? Why can't therapists and coaches work on other things? You know why? Because people complicate their lives. It's the complicate, justify cycle. People complicate their lives and then justify it. Complicate, justify. And that cycle just goes on their whole life. Their whole life. Their life gets punctuated by breakups. The highs of a relationship, the lows of a breakup. Do what you can to eliminate anger and crazy from your life.